Okay, so we're back for this is the part 3 of the series 3 or 4 that will go over like budget or cards that they're only using 1 star, 2 stars, as well as starter deck cards. So this will be something very good for like getting like maybe your friends into play where you have extra cards that you can just use to make these smaller decks that don't require a lot of like the high rarity cards, or to use like the few that you have. Or at least it'll be easier for like say your friends to obtain, because again they're mostly usually of common 1 star, 2 star cards. So this one is the third part. So this one will be focusing on YomajinFront or the red faction, and then this one is using Wizard. So again, Wizard is errata, where you draw 3 cards at the start of your turn, as well as on your opponent's turn you ready one of your resources as well as your Wizard, and your Wizard can be used as a resource during that your opponent's turn. So the first card we have is for draconoid dreadnought hono-ikazuchi. So this one is when it attacks, you can choose one enemy unit and deal 3 damage to it. So this lets you attack the middle slot, and if its unit has 3 or less HP, you essentially get a direct attack for free. So it's like you got 2 attacks in 1, or if not, you can also use it to kill units on the side, as well, to kind of control your opponent. And then we have 4 Draconoid Dreadnought kuro-ikazuchi. So this one is when it attacks, you can deal 5 damage to a unit. So again, kind of like Hono. This one is slightly different status, so it has 5 HP versus Hono had 5 attack, 4 HP. So it's just swapped for that. But this one lets you deal bigger damage to units. So this can be helpful for clearing like those units that have really high HP. The next we have 4 nyudou of the panjandrum. So this one is a basically for a defensive counter. So when it gets revealed, it exhausts your opponent's ruler, especially if your opponent attacks with other units first and you hit this. You can do that. But it also gives all of our units +1 attack while it's on the field, and it doesn't care what type it is, which just gives us more clearing power for other units, as well as having 2 strike is very good for a level 1. We're also running 4 Mr. Obsoletes. So this one is a 3/3/1 that, as long as it's in one of your attack zones, if you would be dealt combat damage, you instead take 0. So essentially what it does is it forces your opponent to attack this first, so wasting one of their 3 attacks, to get rid of this, so that way they can deal you damage. Then we have 4 Joe of the Kamaitachi. So this is from the starter deck, the first one. But again, just 5/2/1, just very good clearing stats, as well as being a level 0. And then we have 4 douji of the solar haze, just a 4/2/1, so just 4 attack. And again, with nyudou, you can make it a 5 attack, which is like the perfect clearing power to get rid of most units. And then we have 4 exosuit battalion byakuya. So this one is mostly just as a defender. It is a 0 slot. So because a lot of times you want to be playing your draconoid dreadnoughts, this card usually ends up being like the second unit you play. So that way you can attack with both, and you have this as a defense in your center slot. Next we have 4 Spider's Thread. So this is on counter, you can choose your opponent's ruler or 1 enemy unit and exhaust it, which again is very good defensively, as well as it also is if you were to play it normally, because again we are wizards, so we'll always have energy to play it. You can choose 1 enemy of level 2 or less, and you can exhaust it. So essentially, like aside from level 3s and level 4s, this can actually just rest any unit. So it essentially prevents more damage by cutting the number of attacks your opponent has. Next we have 2 blazing dai-jin swords. So this is just to get rid of the opponent's defender slot, or the unit that's in the defense. But because of most of our draconoids can probably use its ability to clear that center slot, that's why we're only running 2 of this. Next we have 3 Battle of the First Breach. So this is where you can play it when your allied unit gets attacked, and then the attacked unit can get +2 attack and intercept. And intercept is before any damage is dealt, it deals its damage to the opposing unit first, similar to like first strike from like Magic. So this would be good for like protecting any unit that you don't want to die, as well as like protecting like Mr. Obsolete, where it'll force your opponent to waste more attacks on your side units rather than attacking you, especially because with Wizard you have very low HP compared to other rulers. So running 3 of that. We also have 4 Rite of Redirection. So this is just the next damage that gets dealt becomes 0 instead. So this prevents like against certain units. So again, you can use it to save like Mr. Obsolete or one of your draconoids, or as well as prevent 0 damage from you. And then we also have 4 Rite of Kami Scorn. So similar to like Rite of Redirection, but this uses up a counter slot. If you were to actually play it, it's just the next damage you get dealt to you or an ally becomes 0. So again, you can protect Mr. Obsolete or again any other unit that you'd want to save, or if not, prevent it from for you from taking like a big hit from one of your opponent's attacks. We also have 2 Rite of Grand Ablution. So this just gives 2 HP to everything when you play it normally, so it can save some of your units if your opponent tries to exactly deal enough damage to kill your unit. So you can save it that way, as well as if you ever hit it for a counter, if you have like say one of your bigger draconoids, like if you have Kuro with the 5 HP, and then you like your last attack, this is like damage checked off of your opponent's unit attack. You can use that to maybe shove one of your units into the defense zone, so that way your opponent wastes their ruler attack, which is usually 3 strike. If it's not like Wizard, then it would be a wasted 3 strike attack, or if not, it will actually block them completely. The last card is 3 Rite of the Dragon God's Awakening. So this essentially is you play it when your Draconoid Dreadnought attacks, so that's either Hono or Kuro. So when they attack, you can play this and restand them. So with their ability to deal damage on attack, you'll be able to clear multiple units, or if not, deal with like the side units. So that way your opponent loses their units as well as still taking damage and not wasting your attacks, just to clear out pesky units. But that's all for this deck profile. So the deck list for this will be in the description below. And again, this is mostly just for like using up like extra cards that you may have laying around. And then maybe you could use it to like get your friends into playing it, and they can see the different factions that they have. And again, when set 4 eventually comes around, I'll probably revisit this series, and then maybe we'll do different decks. Again, using 1-star and 2-star cards only, and maybe a few starter deck cards. So that way, again, it can be used as an entryway for some newer players, or even like your friends that you may want to try to get in before they start looking at some of the more complex cards in some of the foiled 3 stars and 4 stars and even legends. But again, if you have any comments or questions, you can always leave in the comment section, and I'll do my best to get them. But with that, thank you for watching, and then I'll see you guys in the next one.